Hello and welcome. In this discussion, which has been arranged by the experts over at ProTax Accountant, we're going to be tackling a topic that can cause a whole lot of stress and confusion, the UK Emergency Tax Code. We'll break down exactly what it is, why you might find yourself on it, and most importantly, what you can do to fix it. You know that feeling, right? You open your payslip, you're all set for payday, and then your heart just sinks. The tax deduction is way, way bigger than you thought it would be. If you've ever had that moment of shock, you're in the right place, because we're going to get to the bottom of it. But hey, don't panic. We've got a clear roadmap for today to take you from confusion to total clarity. We'll start with what emergency tax actually is. Then we'll look at why you might be on it. We'll get into how to decode your payslip, walk through the steps to get it corrected, talk about claiming back any tax you've overpaid, and finally, cover when it's probably a good idea to call in an expert.
All right, let's dive right in with the basics. Before we get into all the whys and hows, we really need to understand the what. So, what on earth is an emergency tax code?
Think of it like this. It's basically a temporary placeholder. When HMRC, that's the UK's tax office, doesn't have all the right details about your income, they use this default code. It's kind of like a safety net, just to make sure some tax is getting paid while they sort everything out. The main thing to remember is it's temporary. It's not a permanent problem. Now, you've probably seen the tax code 1257L before. It's the most common one in the UK. But when it's being used as an emergency code, it almost always has a little something extra at the end, a few letters that are a dead giveaway that something isn't quite right. So where does that number even come from? Well, the 1257 part isn't just random. It's directly linked to the standard tax-free personal allowance. For the 2025 to 2026 tax year, that allowance is £12,570. In simple terms, that's how much you can earn in a year before you have to pay a penny of income tax. Okay, so understanding the what is one thing, but the question everyone really wants answered is, why is this happening to me? What actually triggers HMRC to put you on this temporary code in the first place? Let's get into the most common reasons. So here are the usual suspects. Starting a new job without a P45 from your old one is a big one. A P45 basically tells your new employer your tax story so far. Also, if you're moving from being self-employed into a regular job, you won't have a P45 to give them. Other things like getting new company benefits or starting to draw your state pension while you're still working can trigger it too. Let's make this a bit more real. Meet Sarah. She's a freelance web developer in London, really good at what she does. After years of working for herself and doing her own tax returns, she takes her first ever full-time job. Her new boss asks for a P45, but of course she doesn't have one. So, when that first payday rolls around, Payroll has no other option but to put her on an emergency tax code. And boom, her first payslip is a real shock. It's a classic case. Okay, so you get why you might be on an emergency code. The next piece of the puzzle is knowing how to spot it on your payslip. You'll see that familiar 1257L, but the real clue, the smoking gun, is in the letters that come right after it. Trust me, these suffixes are super important. Right. Have you ever seen 1257L followed by a W1, M1, or an X? If you have, that is the definitive sign that you're on an emergency tax code. Each one tells a slightly different story about how your tax is being worked out. So let's break down what they actually mean for your bank account. The breakdown is actually pretty simple when you see it. W1 just means week 1 for if you're paid weekly. M1 means month 1 for monthly pay. And X is for other, less common pay periods. The key thing they all do is tell the payroll system to tax you on that single pay period alone, without looking at what you've earned across the whole year. And here's a pro tip that really gets to the heart of the problem. Those letters mean your tax is being calculated on a non-cumulative basis. What that means in plain English is your big annual tax-free allowance of over £12,000 gets chopped up into 52 little bits for weekly pay or 12 bits for monthly pay. You only get that one tiny slice of allowance for that one payslip. The system isn't seeing the big picture, and that is exactly why you almost always end up overpaying tax. It's like you're giving HMRC an interest-free loan until it all gets sorted out. Now, that's not all. Here's where a lot of people go wrong. They see the high tax, they get annoyed, and then they just wait. They hope it fixes itself. And yeah, it often does eventually. But you don't have to just sit there and wait. You can actually be proactive about it. So let's look at the exact steps you can take to fix this thing. Honestly, the solution is pretty straightforward. The absolute easiest way to fix this or avoid it completely is to give your new employer your P45 from your last job. That's the golden ticket. If you don't have one, like our freelancer Sarah, your employer will just give you a starter checklist form to fill out instead. The goal is simple. Give them the right info so they can tell HMRC. Just make sure you fill that form out as accurately as you possibly can. And hey, here's a quick did you know for you. Even after you've done your bit and handed over all the right forms, it can still take HMRC over a month, sometimes up to 35 days, to process everything and send out your new correct tax code. So you might need just a little bit of patience while the system patches up. Okay, stay with me, because this next part is the big question, the one everybody asks. I've been overpaying, so what happens to my money? How do I get back all that extra cash I've paid? So you've looked at the numbers, you've figured out you've definitely overpaid. And the next thought is probably one of dread, right? Oh no, do I now have to fill out a bunch of complicated forms and spend hours on the phone to HMRC to get my money back? Well, I've got some good news for you. In most cases, the whole PAYE system is actually designed to fix this for you automatically. If it all gets sorted within the same tax year, your employer's payroll software will just adjust a future payslip and give you the refund that way. If the tax year has already ended, HMRC will spot it, calculate what you're owed, and either pop a check in the post or send you a P800 tax calculation form, which just explains the refund. But what if it doesn't just fix itself? If you're still on an emergency code a couple of months down the line, it's time to take action. First, have a chat with your employer, just to double-check the information you gave them was all correct. Then, ask your payroll department to confirm they've sent it all to HMRC. If that doesn't work, your next step is to contact HMRC yourself. The easiest way is online through your personal tax account. For most people who just have one simple job, this whole process is pretty straightforward. But let's be honest, our financial lives aren't always that simple, are they? So what happens when your situation is a little bit more complicated? When is it time to stop pulling your hair out and just call in an expert? Well, if you're juggling a few jobs, maybe you've got a side business, you're getting some rental income, or just have a few different pots of money coming in, your tax situation gets a lot more complex. Trying to figure all that out on your own can be super time-consuming, really stressful, and you might even make a costly mistake. And this is exactly where a professional can make a huge difference. A great tax accountant won't just fix the immediate problem. They'll look at your whole financial picture to make sure everything is spot on. They'll find any mistakes, take the right steps to fix them, and basically just give you peace of mind that your taxes are being handled correctly. This is precisely the kind of expertise that the team at ProTax Accountant offers, and it's why they arranged this discussion today. Their whole goal is to help you understand your options and to offer that specialist help for these exact kinds of issues, right when you need it. So if any of this felt a bit overwhelming, if your situation is complicated, or if you'd just rather an expert handle it all correctly from the get-go, please don't hesitate to reach out to the team at ProTax Accountant. Whether it's sorting out your tax code, planning your taxes, or filing your self-assessment returns, they're ready to help. All their details are right there on the screen. We really hope this discussion has been helpful and has cleared up some of the mystery that surrounds emergency tax codes. For more clear, simple guides on everything to do with UK tax, please do subscribe to the ProTax Accountant YouTube channel. And we'll leave you with the final thought. Being proactive with your tax is really empowering. It puts you back in the driver's seat with your own money. So, what's the first step you're going to take? Are you going to go check your latest payslip, log into your HMRC account, or maybe go dig out that old P45? Thanks so much for joining us.